All right, so today is a Friday, the 12th of September 2025, and we're having a morning analysis. Earlier this morning, exactly 7 a.m., GDP, gross domestic product data was released from the United Kingdom, and the actual came out equal to the forecast. So that wouldn't have given any much movement on the British pound. But then the important fundamental event today is from the United States, and that will come up by 3 p.m. today. That will be the prelim UOM consumer sentiment and prelim UOM inflation expectations. Now, generally, this may not really give any serious volatility, but then it's end of week. Usually towards the end of week like this, there are some irrational movement that comes up in the market. So you never can tell. That could trigger this particular event to now become volatile. But either ways, the important thing to do as a trader is always to trade with caution. Whether an event will be volatile or not. Sometimes there are some other factors that might lead to volatility. The news itself may not be volatile, but there are other factors that surround the market at that point in time that could trigger some volatility around such instruments. And this could be one of those kind of situations. So 3 p.m., trade the dollar with a lot of caution as we end the week. All right, there will still be an afternoon analysis session where much more information will be given about that. But for now, let's just go straight to the chart. Now, yesterday we had the CPI, and the news came out exactly in line with our analysis, and you can see those who took the trades made profit. If you were not part of the trading yesterday, well, I would say you missed a lot, and it's not the best to keep missing these kind of opportunities to make free money in the market. We were having a live physical training session in Lagos when the CPI took place, and one of my students in Lagos took the trade, and right there and then, he made about $18 on the spot. I mean, to you it may look small, to some other person it's not small, because $18, if you multiply that by the current exchange rate in Nigeria, which is around 1,500, let's just say on the average per dollar. I mean, $10 is about 15,000, $20 is about 30,000. So $18 should be like in the range of like 25,000 naira, just like that. I mean, clean money. And some other person posted making $61. Another person posted about $40. These are very, very good results. You understand? So don't miss such an opportunity another time. Yes, I always tell us that there will always be another trade, another day. That's a fact. But at the same time, don't keep sleeping on opportunities like this to just make clean money for yourself, and possibly enjoy the weekend with it. All right. So also, when we give analysis like this, don't sleep on it. It's so funny. Sometimes we'll take all the pains to do analysis. The essence of the analysis is to give you a guide for what to trade. But then sometimes people still decide to trade other things they don't have knowledge about. Well, I would advise stick with what we give you. It will help you on the long term. So today the market is quiet. After CPI yesterday, the market is just generally in a very quiet mood. I'm not seeing setup on many of the instruments. Many of them are just on the quiet side. But then I'm spotting something on gold, which may lead to a trade in the course of today. It's not too sharp at the moment, but I'm seeing something on gold. Now, this is gold on the 4-hour time frame, and price is resting on a resistance level on the 4-hour. Now you can see the line I've drawn. If you go higher, there's still a second resistance up there. So one of these two things will happen today. Price hitting that resistance up there, we may see a retracement downwards, or if there's a little volatility later in the day, price may break the resistance on this 4-hour and go to the next resistance and possibly still end the week, in a downward movement. So either way it goes, we still hold on to a bearish outlook on gold. Now I will flip straight down to the 15 minutes time frame and see possibilities of making an entry if it presents itself. At this point, we're not really having a lot of confirmations. I'm only guessing direction. Maybe in the course of the day, there will be clearer entry opportunity. All right, I'm seeing a rising wedge pattern forming, so it's possible price may go up and retest this resistance level and possibly form a double top pattern, and that may trigger a downward movement. This is possible in the course of today. Like I always say, even though I'm a price action trader, I don't get hung up on patterns. If it happens, all well and good. If it does not happen, I trade what I see. But this is just the forecast I can see at the moment, the possibility of price forming a double top pattern and from there having some slight decline in movement. And that decline can generate possibly some 50 pips on the average. Just watch out in the course of the day if it unfolds like this on gold. And if it's another pattern altogether that forms, fine. We trade what we see. For now, what I'm concerned about is the direction. And that is what I can see because the market is very, very quiet. So we're bearish on gold for today. And the other instrument I'll be looking at today is the US oil. The US oil is otherwise labeled as USOUSD on our platform. And currently this instrument is trading around a support level on the daily time frame. Now, there's a dicey situation around this instrument for now, and that's the fact that this instrument closed as a bearish engulfing candlestick pattern yesterday. Technically, we may be looking for a further bearish movement, but then we can also deny the fact that this area here is a support level. So it depends. Price may either break out downwards or retrace back a little upwards. These are one of the two scenarios that will play out in the course of today. Now that's the daily time frame. Let's switch over to the 4 hour. This is the 4 hour time frame. This is our valid support zone. And the support extends to this point. So we have a valid support, and this is where price currently is. All right. So like I said, one of these two scenarios will play out today. Price may break out because of that bearish engulfing candlestick pattern. Price may retrace and break out downwards. That is possible, or we may have a reversal upwards. So if we're going to have a breakout downwards, let's take it down to 1 hour time frame. On 1 hour time frame, we may see a breakout, a retest, and a continuation downwards. Very possible. And if that does not happen, I think I should go straight to 15 minutes. 15 minutes is equally not so clear, but I can still draw a trend line here. And another one is to form a falling wedge pattern. All right. Actually, this is giving me the outlook of it's close to an inverse head and shoulder, which may trigger, movement to the upside. So in case it's not breaking out downwards, we may experience a bullish breakout, very possible. And you can see we have a perfect looking falling wedge pattern and price may break out. So if it's going to be a bullish breakout, you wait for price to break out above this box, above that resistance box before you trigger a buy. All right. So on the US oil, we are on a buy or on a sell, depending on where the breakout happens. If it's a sell, we want to see price break out below this box, retest and continue. If it's a buy, above the box to the upside. So put your eyes closely on these two instruments today. That's on gold and on US oil. All right, so for gold, we are bearish. Either way the market goes, we have a bearish outlook. But for US oil, we have both a bullish and a bearish outlook, depending on which side the market decides to face. All right, I think that's all. The other setup I have, some of them are swing. They may not materialize today, so there's no point, but I may just show us for the sake of those who are swing traders, but it's not really going to materialize today. Like this DJ30 now is forming a rising wedge on the 4 hour time frame. It's a swing. It's a swing setup. Yeah, we may see price trigger today, but I'm not giving an outlook on that. The important part of this one is actually the 4 hour breakout and below the lower trend line with RSI clearly below 50. That's my major analysis for DJ 30, otherwise called the Dow Jones Industrial Index, or US 30 on some other platforms. So that's all I'm seeing this morning. Every other instrument is just, some have experienced extreme volatility due to the news yesterday, and the market is still trying to recalibrate. All right, so that'll be all from the analysis this morning. If you have a question, you can post it, and I'll see the best way to address your question. BTC. Well, I gave my outlook on BTC much earlier, and I remember telling us that I was bullish on BTC, and the market is going in line with that already. I remember doing this repeatedly for BTC. I said we'll add a resistance to support on the weekly time frame and an inverse head and shoulder pattern on the daily. And price has broken up, trying to approach the next resistance level at 117,343. So this is bullish. Can you enter now? The advice is no. If you want to make entry, you cannot make your entry on the daily time frame. You try to look out for entry on a smaller time frame, maybe like 1 hour or possibly 15 minutes, because this can be a volatile instrument. So that's my response to the person asking about BTC. What I'm saying in essence is this. Let's go down to 1 hour. We'll need to wait for a retracement. You can see the candles are showing some downward movement. So it's not the best time to just say, oh, because Mr. Rotimi said it's bullish, so let me quickly enter a buy. The bullish is on the daily time frame. So we may need to wait for price to retrace back to possibly a support. We have a key level here. We have a resistance and a support. Price might need to drop here. Then you ride it back up. That's the best way. Good morning. That's the best way to trade the BTC. Currently we even have a rejection candle here indicating that price may drop. So just wait for the perfect setup before you take any trade on BTC USD. AUD USD, EuroCAD, and GU. All right, those will be the instruments I'll check as we round up. GU has been trading around this resistance level all week long. All week. It's been around this resistance on the daily time frame. So let's drill down to 4 hour. Price hit that same resistance yesterday, and we're seeing a slight decline. That's on the 4 hour. Well, we don't have a clarity. That is facing downward does not mean it's going to sell. I'm not seeing certainty. I'm not seeing a lot of things line up that I will look out for in a trade on this one. So I can't really give you an outlook at the moment. There's no serious clarity on the GBP USD. AUD USD and EuroCAD. So let me check. There are three things we do in trading. We buy, we sell, we wait. We buy when all our parameters line up for a buy. We sell when everything lines up for a sell. And if nothing lines up, you wait. So for GU, I will say wait. I'm not seeing clarity on it at the moment. Please, I will encourage us to mute our devices so that we don't, distract the class with background noise. All right, so I think I found AUD. You're welcome. Billions Unlimited. Okay, so this is AUD USD on the daily time frame, you can see price making an uptrend right there on the daily, making a series of higher highs. At least we have this is quite close to the trend line. This is close. A higher high, higher high, higher high. And you can discover that from the third time price touched the higher high, we saw some retracement. So price is on the higher high again. We can anticipate, a retracement in price. It may not be a complete reversal, maybe just some retracement. So on the daily time frame, we have that outlook of a potential retracement on the AUD USD. I didn't say anything on 4 hour, but I can flip down to, or I've already flipped down to 1 hour rather. And on 1 hour, I have a rising wedge pattern. Now, this is how it's going to work. Yeah, can see this region here. There's a confluence there. A confluence is talking about areas of interest, areas where price reacted, to the market, for multiple reasons. And this is more than one reason. We have this trend line from the daily time frame. We have another trend line from the 1 hour time frame, which is forming the rising wedge. Now, I would say the best thing to do here, except you're a scalper and you know how to manage this trade. If you want to enter and sell, you may, but I'm not giving that as a signal. My best signal will be price move within this and breaks out. That's my best setup. Don't forget today is Friday. Volatility may be very minimal in the market. So if you enter a sell now, it may not be guaranteed that price will move. But if price breaks out below this lower trend line, yes, that will have been able to pass the volatility test and we may see price go down further. So I will suggest more of it intraday trading. Wait for a new candle to break out below this rising wedge pattern. That's the lower trend line and confirm with your RSI below 50 to trigger a sell on AUD USD. Now, will this happen today? Well, I can't tell now. Today's Friday. Markets can often be funny on Fridays. But then even if it doesn't work today, it may work later. But generally, I hold a bearish outlook on the AUD USD. Now, sometimes, you may see a setup that may take some time to materialize. It happens a lot in trading. I mean, for me, it happens. You may see a setup that, it may look good, and yet it didn't trigger the same day. Maybe it will trigger the next day, sometimes even the third day. So what you do as a trader is that you need to have a trading journal where you write, out all this kind of setup and you monitor it till it triggers. And that's just how to trade. That's why there is a patience game when it comes to trading. It's not all the time you analyze something today and it triggers today. You don't control the market. The market moves only through the forces of demand and supply. If the volatility is there and the market forces push the price, perfect. It may work the same day. Otherwise, it may have to trigger later. And that's why you have to be patient as a trader. Okay, so I've checked GBP USD, I've checked AED USD. Now I'll check EuroCAD. And Clement is asking me to check Euro USD. All right. EuroCAD. So for emphasis, I'm bearish on the AUD USD. For EuroCAD, I'm actually bearish, but then it's a swing setup. This one is completely a swing setup. And if you take it to the, let me go to the daily. On the daily, it's actually a rising wedge pattern on the EuroCAD. You can see price has done a series of higher highs and higher lows, higher highs and higher lows, higher high. The next wave of movement is actually downward. Technically, all things being equal, is a downward movement. And if you flip down to the 4 hour time frame, now before the CPI yesterday, this thing was actually forming a perfect looking triple top or head and shoulder, but the news just scattered it with a lot of ranging candlesticks over there. But nonetheless, it may still go bearish if all the range clears out. This may still go bearish. So what I will suggest for that person, I don't know if you're already on the trade, but I still believe this will go bearish, but price needs to break out below this range. Anytime a new candle breaks out below this range, you can trigger a sell on EuroCAD. So it's a bearish one on EuroCAD. And finally, the Euro USD. Euro USD, I had a bearish outlook on this instrument too, up until the news yesterday. It's still a resistance on the daily, a tweezer top on this second touch here, which normally should have, triggered price downwards. But then the CPI changed the direction upwards. So this is the 4-hour candlestick. And I have a trend line here. Earlier on, this instrument was actually forming a head and shoulder pattern. Shoulder, head. Eventually, we still a second shoulder, and we may be looking for a drop over there. But then, for now, I would say you need to take caution. No trading activity on this instrument. This is purely a swing setup. Until it happens, just have to keep your fingers crossed. You need to wait for price to clearly break out below this box before you can trigger a sell, and it will be a swing trade. So that's my outlook on Euro USD. All right, so I've attended to all the questions we have. For those who joined us late, this is PU Prime. If you're on the platform for the first time, this is PU Prime. We're a global brand with our global head office in Australia, and we have 2 offices in Nigeria, Abuja and Lagos. And if all these things we are saying looks a bit complex to you, it's understandable. It shows probably you're a beginner in trading. Now, if you're a beginner, we do encourage you to attend our training sessions where you get acquainted with the relevant knowledge and even the skills required to trade in this global financial market. So if you live in Abuja or Lagos, you're free to join our physical training session, which comes up twice in a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Now, the time for Abuja office training is 10:30 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and the time for the Lagos office training is 11 a.m. both on Tuesdays and Thursdays. The address of the Abuja office is PU Prime Africa, Abuja, at Walk and Connect Building, 50 a bit to Ukiwe Street, Jabi, Abuja. So if you live around Yanyan, you live at Maraba, you live at Kefi, and its surrounding environs, make your way to our office next week Tuesday, for physical training session. And if you're based in Lagos, you live at Yanopaja, Mowe, Surulere, Ikotun, Agege, all those axes. Find a way to our office tomorrow. I mean, not tomorrow, pardon me. Next week, Tuesday, for our physical training session. The address is PA Prime Africa Lagos office at Agos Executive Lounge, 54B Adeniyi Jones Avenue, Ikeja, Lagos. All right, Ijoma Maureen is asking, how can I be a part of the Signal group? Just reach out to your account manager. Your account manager will give you the necessary information required to be a part of the Signal group. And if you don't know how to get across your account manager, just reach out to me privately. Go back to the group where I sent out the link for this class and chat me privately. I will help you connect to your account manager. Okay, so that will be the end of the analysis session this morning. Do watch out today. In the course of the day, if there's a signal, definitely we'll drop it in 5x group. So keep yourself posted and keep watching out for much more educative content from us at PU Prime. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.